I'm running late again. Story of my life. Well, I'm Athena Vas, as you may know, and welcome to Thought Tub, where we share our stories in hopes to inspire you to go after your dreams and not give a feta what anybody thinks about you. Life is too short to care, and I have Dave Meadows in the house. Such an important day for you guys. The stories that you're going to hear today, you're going to be inspired, and hopefully your lives will be changed. All right, so for the first round, before we get into anything, we are going to do a little game called Truth or Total Feta. So you're going to have to tell me if you think this is the truth or if you think it's total feta. I texted someone in the same room to gossip secretly.
True. 100%. That's really a question. There's 100% that has to be true.
Actually, no. I don't gossip about people.
What?
I don't. I just don't care.
What? Okay, so tell me why. Why do you not gossip about people?
Because it doesn't serve me. So if it doesn't serve me, then why would I waste my breath?
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah.
It's like people get into this sort of situation now where they think that the most relevant thing is like what some other human being is like negatively doing or something like that, and it's just like it's such a waste of space.
Negative talk will only bring more negative talk, and you're actually accepting negativity into your life, and you're not allowed to thrive because you're allowing it. So I don't like gossiping. I actually hate it. In Greek, it's called a kutsabola, and I stay away from kutsabolas. If I see somebody come and they like yap in their mouth about somebody else, like I actually run away from them. I'm like, oh God, I just want to talk about ideas and cool shit.
There you go. Why waste the time on doing anything else?
Exactly.
Uh-oh.
I've pretended to recognize someone who clearly knew me. I've pretended to recognize someone who clearly knew me.
I'm gonna say that's not true.
It's not true. It's not true. It's total feta. If I know someone, like I will never deliberately like not say hi or like I'm straight up. If I don't like somebody, I'm goodbye. You know, like you'll know it. You know. But yeah, I'll be civil, and it just depends on the situation. But I'm not a rude person at all, and I don't really have beef with anyone.
Well, it also counteracts your authenticity.
Yeah.
Which I think is something that's important for you.
Yeah.
To come out and just be authentically yourself. It's literally what we're talking about here and everything today, and that whole facsimile just isn't conducive.
No, it's so true. Because if you can't be your authentic self and you're lying about who you are, you're not able to thrive in your life, you know? And I just want to keep elevating, and I'm a completely different person than I was like 10 years ago, as we all probably are. We evolve and we grow, hopefully.
Not me. I was born perfect today. I just stayed here like ever so after. But yeah, I did it for other people. Yeah, that's fine.
So that was a fun little teaser opening line. So I want to give you a moment to spotlight who you are, your achievements. You know, I'm sure your fans would love to hear more about you, and anyone who wants to watch more of his movies and film, I want you to just take a moment to shine and tell us more about who you are and what you do.
That's
You can hold it.
Yeah.
I'm going to make you a salad while you're holding it.
You're gonna hold it, or I'm gonna hold it, and you're gonna make the salad.
Yeah, my name's Dave Meadows. I have had a little bit of a different life. I was actually raised by a single mother in Wheeling, West Virginia, and had an incredible grandfather that stepped in to be my parental figure. But basically, it was just she and I. And to this day, I credit every single thing that I've ever been able to accomplish or learn or do in my life to her.
Your mom?
My mom, yeah. I think mothers are just true superheroes. Like a true, incredible, loving, selfless mother they're just gold. Like it's absolutely incredible. And every single day I could not be more proud or grateful for the mother that I was given, and credit her with everything. Like I really do. And originally I was going to go to medical school, and then I decided, no, not so much. Dave's not vibing with that anymore. And I joined the Navy specifically to become a Navy SEAL.
Wow.
And like so many people back in the 90s, you know, I was caught up on all the amazing movies like Navy SEALs with Charlie Sheen, like the best recruitment video ever in the history of everything.
I haven't seen it.
You've never seen it?
No.
What are we even doing here?
I don't know. Want to go watch it?
We need to, like,
All right, after this.
can you guys believe it? I mean, seriously.
Have you
She's
believed
never
that?
seen Navy SEALs with Charlie Sheen?
No, I just know him from, the one TV show that I love, 2.5 Men.
2.5 Men?
Yeah, it's funny. I like to laugh. I don't follow. I've been in a time
Why do you
capsule.
guys watch her?
I've been in a time capsule. I'll tell you about that another time.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll have to get back to that because, wow, I'm just like taken aback by this. But anyway, so I joined the Navy specifically to become a SEAL, right? And
Now tell viewers, what is a Navy SEAL? What does that job entail?
drinking beer, having great hair gel, and being the most narcissistic person you could possibly be. No. So for anybody who doesn't know, the U.S. Navy SEALs are a counter-terrorist. What's that?
I was just thinking about what you said before.
What did I say before?
Nothing, I was in my head.
Oh, perfect.
Sorry.
How was that for you?
It's okay. Anyway, continue.
So, yeah, the Navy SEALs are basically this incredible place of drinking buddies with guns, is basically how it really goes. Anybody who's truly been there will agree with that. And it's a counterterrorism strike force for the U.S. Navy. We're one of the Spec Ops units of the U.S. military, along with all the other great units out there, Green Berets, CAG, all these other
But
sorts
you're
of dudes.
also an actor.
I am an actor,
Wow.
yeah. But that was a full-on second career for me. I actually never had any hopes or dreams or anything like that to actually be a SEAL, but then way later on in my career, I actually started going down a different pathway while still in the Navy, where I inadvertently started taking acting classes and psychology classes as part of a job that I was being prepared to do, actually as part of the Spec Ops community. And so ultimately I decided to take some time off from the Spec Ops community. I was active for about 9.5 years as predominantly a sniper and a reconnaissance expert.
You were a
And
sniper?
I was, yeah.
How was that?
It's about how you would think it was.
Did you actually have to kill people? For real?
Yes.
How do you live with that? Like, does it hurt? Like, is your job, like, I want to know, like, how does that affect your psychological?
I think that's a very individualistic sort of a question,
Yeah.
but for me, it wasn't a thing. And I think they do a really good job. Like anytime somebody's going up for a Spec Ops position, right? They're trying to be in one of the Spec Ops units. A large amount of the screening process is actually doing a lot of psychological screening, and they're specifically checking to see how your brain operates, because the stress of the job, one of the things that people don't understand about, they understand that, the selection process, especially with the SEAL teams, right? There's BUDS and there's Hell Week and there's all this other sort of stuff. But the reason that things are so arduous is because the job is so arduous. It's like this whole thing that people sometimes have backwards. Like, nobody went out there and said, hey, let's come up with this really cool, like, hard training process and selection, and then we'll fund a job that people will do, right?
Yeah.
Instead, it was actually a job that needed to be done, and they came up with a training and a selection process to recruit and to train people that were able to actually do that sort of a job. So the world demanded it, right? It wasn't a human thing.
Yeah.
So a large amount of this, the training and the selection process is actually psychologically to make sure that you can handle the stresses and the op tempo. Like, for example, the first time that when I was actually got into the SEAL teams, my very first year, when I was actually an official SEAL,
Okay.
I was away from home like 310 days out of the year, and I didn't deploy. So 310 days I was not sleeping in my own bedroom because I was training somewhere, or we were doing this or doing that. It's like you have no life. So the military in general, but there's a situation where it's not like you never go into a Spec Ops world and say, hey, by day I'm a Navy SEAL, but by evening it's like, no. It is literally like a professional athlete or something like that. It's an all immersive experience where everything that you do from dusk till dawn every single day is dedicated to doing that job. Like that's all you have time for. So your family, your life, everything else has to take a back seat. And that's just how it is.
So you pretty much dedicate your life to your passion, because that must have been your passion for you to do that, right?
Oh, absolutely. I would seriously question the abilities for anybody who it wasn't their passion to actually make it through the process. There is a thing, and this is my experience, and A lot of other guys, I can only speak from my own experience, of course, but a lot of other of my former teammates that I talked to had a similar experience, right? And talk about the passion. In order to do anything really exemplary in life, whatever that is for the individual person, it takes such a level of obsessive dedication. Yeah. It just has to be everything. If anybody thinks that you're fucking sane, you're not doing it enough.
Yes.
Like there's this thing. I mean, there's this whole deal. And again, what people want to have in their life, right? Like whatever it is, and I'm not. People have whatever they want. But you listen to any big entrepreneur, you listen to anybody who's really achieved anything really exemplary, where other people look at him and go, "Holy shit!" Whether it's becoming. Whether it's Jeff Bezos. Ask Jeff Bezos if he had work-life balance when he was creating Amazon. I guarantee you the man will say, fuck no. Yeah. No way. Exactly. You have to be all in. Yeah. And if you're not all in, you are not going to succeed. Yes. Period.
Yes.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, that's a hell yes. Yeah. Hell yes. So everybody who knows me, they're always calling me so crazy for always working towards my dreams, and everyone's always asking me to hang out. And they're like, you're always so busy, you never call me, you never text me. It's like, bro, you don't understand me if you're asking me that question. I'm like, I haven't achieved my dreams. Yeah. And I'm so obsessive with achieving my dreams because I'm not where I want to be. And every day is valuable. So every minute of the day, I want to spend working towards my dreams and my goals. And if I get invited somewhere and it doesn't align with my goals, or it doesn't make me happy, I'm not going to go.
Why would you?
Exactly. You have to be obsessive to the point where it's sick. It's sick to normal people. But that's what separates the greats from the averages. And that's okay. It's okay to be average. If that's okay with you, yeah. It's not okay with me. I don't want to be mediocre. I want to be great.
So let me ask you a question on this.
Yeah.
What you just said, and I agree with you fully, if that is actually what somebody dreams of, that's what brings them happiness and fulfillment, and truthfully,
yes,
more power to them.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody has to go out there and conquer the world. Whether you don't have to, right? How many people do you think actually want that versus, because I would argue that the vast majority of the population falls into apparently that, where they're just they want to just kind of coast through, they want to do this, they want to do that, they don't want to rock the boat, they're not out there trying to just burn it down. And how many people though do you actually think really want that, and how many people do you think go to that because they're scared? Or because of some other reason, maybe, but it's not really what they want. If they were really being honest, yeah. It's not what they would choose for themselves.
250%, because I've been around people who they talk. Especially, I'm an observer. I may not look like it, but I'm very social, but I have two parts of my I have many parts of my personality. Like, I'm an onion. You keep peeling me.
I've counted at least like 75 since I met you.
Wow, thank you. Well, we vibe hard. Yeah. And anyway, so a lot of people, they just, I observe them. Like my first year here in LA, people have been telling me, like, Athena, like, your age is going to catch up with you. Your age is going to catch up with you. You're like, you're not 18 anymore. I'm like, bro, I'm also not 40 either. Like, what the fuck? I'm not even 35, And they're like one guy told me, he's like, you got two big gorillas running behind you. And I'm like, I was chasing, like I had two big gorillas running behind me. And it got me nowhere the whole first year that I was here. So then my second year, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go to these events and I'm not going to talk to nobody. I'm going to sit back silently. I'm going to watch everyone. And then I watched everyone. And the first thing everybody says is, who are you? What do you do? Like, they don't even care about you. And then if they don't like what you said, they move along. Yeah. Oh, they get your contact and then move along, right? And then another thing that I saw is how many people 3 years ago when I moved out here is what they were saying, all the project that they've done or that they're gonna do or the life that they want. And now here we are, they still done nothing, still done the same thing. So a lot of people talk about all the things that they want, but then when they're done with their day job, they go home and eat pizza and watch Netflix. Okay, bro, like, you obviously don't have goals. You say you want them, but when you come close to them and you actually have the opportunity and you're given the opportunity, you don't take the opportunity. So it shows on the inside, deep down, you actually don't want it.
Yep. 100%. 100% agree with you.
But that's okay.
Where do you think that comes from? Is it okay? I know what you're saying. I mean, you're trying to be, respectful of people. And again, I am sure that there are people that are actually out there that is totally fucking fine. That is what they want. That is what truly makes them happy. Their priorities are elsewhere, and that's great. I just really wonder how many people. Yeah, go ahead. What do you think?
Tell me.
Should I say this answer?
I think.
Okay, fine. Fuck, am I really gonna say this out loud?
Listen, either people are gonna like.
Honestly, I'm just gonna say it.
Yeah.
I don't fuck with lazy.
No.
If you're lazy, I don't care if you're lazy outside of me, but in my circle, if you're lazy, I'm sorry, I don't want to be friends with you because I only surround myself with people who have a passion and who go after their dreams. And if like it's fine if those people want to sit and just chill and just because I'm an entertainer. So I want to entertain people, but my close inner circle, I want to be people who have large minds and they want to go big places with me and enjoy these places that we go together, metaphorically, of course.
You know what's amazing is that, so like real quick story on that, I completely agree with you and like bringing it back over to the SEAL teams, right? There's a very well-known premise in psychology. And as social creatures, humans, right, it's very well known that you tend to be the sum total of your 5 to 7 closest relationships. There's the thing, eagles don't fly with pigeons, right? You hang out with 5 deadbeat drug addicts, you'll be the fucking 6th. You hang out with 5 millionaire entrepreneurs, you'll be the 6th, right? Surround yourself with people that emulate the life that you envision for yourself, whatever that is. But don't disillusion yourself. It's one of the reasons, actually, why psychologically people find it so hard to get out of the current social situations. Right? Maybe they were born into a situation. You hear a lot about this. Sometimes the people coming into like just kind of very bad parts of society, whether they're just not born into a good place, right? And that sometimes they find it so hard to get out of that. It's because all of their examples that they have in their basic life right there, it's nature versus nurture, right? Yeah. But the nature that the nurture that they actually have around them right there is constantly repressing them all the way back. And it takes a Herculean, especially in the informative years before people understand that they have that power, they have that choice. So it's one of the reasons why people sometimes have that challenge, right? Is they get into a situation, they're born into it, they're whatever the case is, and they don't even recognize that they have the power to break that. And by the time they recognize it, oftentimes they're so handicapped. Do you ever see the experiment they did with like the elephants where they would chain them down, or the fleas?
No.
So there's a really interesting thing that actually happened, and they've done this with elephants, but they even did it with fleas,
really?
Right?
Tell me.
A flea.
Tell me.
They take a bunch of fleas.
Okay.
They put them in a ball, into a jar.
Okay.
They put a lid over the jar.
Okay.
Now, the fleas were physically able to jump out of the bottle, but they couldn't because of the lid. They would leave that lid on there for a very long period of time while the fleas are constantly jumping up and down, smashing their little heads off of the lid. Then they would take the lid off, and the fleas would stay in because they had been programmed that was their limit. So even when the physical barrier was removed, the psychological barrier remained. You see that sometimes with elephants, they would chain them to a post when they're young. That was critical. They didn't know yet. So they're young, they would chain them to a post. The elephant would get used to its limits of where it could go. They'd take the chain off, and the elephant would still stay within its limits, even though it was no longer physically restrained.
Wow.
The psychological restraints are bigger than any physical restraint we have. So it's incredibly. I tell people all the time when I'm I think what we talked. I'm a certified coach for neuroscience, cognitive behavioral therapy, neuro-linguistic programming, all these.
Let's just highlight that. Let's highlight that for a minute because there's a lot of misconceptions out there about bodybuilders are obviously in phenomenal shape. You're quite distracting, to be honest. But yeah, so
say more.
Anyway, as if the feta wasn't enough. Yes. Where was I going with this?
I don't know. It's just say more. No.
Yeah.
So we're talking about
bodybuilding. Yeah.
Then.
So it's just so many stereotypes behind actors in general and people in the military. Like someone in the military can't act; they're just going to use them as a stuntman,
right.
But you're so much more than that. Like you've been educated, you've gone to school for acting, you've been into top schools for acting, you've done so many movies and films, but you also have so many degrees too that no one would ever know about unless they actually talk to you,
Yeah.
So take a minute to say the things that you're certified, and that, like, anybody who has questions, put in the comments for him, because someone who came from ex-military background, a Navy SEAL, and then you studied psychology, and you've been through so much in your life, that you have so much to share and so much knowledge with the world, that please comment any questions that anybody who's suffering with anything. Like, I feel like Dave would be the perfect person to reach out to, and to ask their questions, because you have lived so many different lifetimes so quickly.
Yeah, thank you. So real quick, when I got out of the SEAL teams and everything, so originally I wanted my path. I wanted to go to, so I started going through a couple programs. I can't really talk about that much on the cast here, but I started taking psychology and acting lessons while I was still in the Navy to go and do a very specialized job in the military, and then for other government entities and all that sort of stuff. But ultimately, I did not do that. I decided to take time off as well. But I fell so in love with the acting and with the psychology. And people talk about mathematics, right?
Yeah.
Mathematics is like the universal language of the universe. Well, I would argue that psychology is actually nigh every bit as important, because psychology is almost the mathematics of the human brain. It's how we operate and everything. It is, as far as we know, at least on our little planet, with what we have met so far, the human brain is the most powerful biological instrument that we have ever found. It's more powerful than any computer. It's absolutely incredible. I think that if people really understood the power of the fatty little salt sack that was inside of their skull, they would be mesmerized for the rest of their lives to try to uncover its mysteries and its powers, and how it can be used for so much more than just scanning Instagram and looking at cat photos, or like whatever else, right? But so very quickly, when I started to learn about that, like, why is it that one person can do literally what we're talking about here? Like, one person can't find the discipline or the desire to get off the couch, and another person can leave their hometown, leave everything that they've ever known, to pursue a dream that only they can do with just reckless abandon. Why?
Words that you've used really hits my life.
Which one's reckless abandon? Yeah. You have to have it.
No, like,
You have to.
that resonates hard. Reckless abandon is literally what I did.
Yeah.
Like, just to survive.
Yeah.
Seriously, like, people don't even know the half of what I went through. But that is such a good question. You're right.
It's psychology.
It is all psychology, but I also think people play the victim.
Yes. Why? Why do you think that is?
I just feel like it comes from a place of laziness and no ambition to, and they just, why me? Like, I used to say, why is everyone so mean to me in New York? Why does everyone hate me? And blah, blah, blah. Because, like, I would always show up so extra, and it was too much for people to handle. And instead of me just being like, F you if you don't like it, I wasn't strong enough. I would just go and cry.
Yeah.
But now I really don't care, and that's why I'm so happy. I feel free. I feel so free.
And isn't it?
So, Athena, I think you just stepped on something that's really important. We were talking about freedom, and because your freedom,
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I heard you just say, your freedom came from self-acceptance and not worrying what the fuck other people thought, or what do they do this, or what do they do that, right? And I think that what we were talking about earlier, that is one of the defining characteristics. When I work with my coaching clients, or people come to me and they ask about any of this sort of thing, one of the biggest things I always ask people, and it's such a mind fuck for so many people because it's so counterintuitive to what we have been trained as a society. And when somebody goes, well, Dave, I really want to do this, I really want to do that, they have whatever goal it is, whether it could be anything, right? The very first question I ask them is I go, why do you want that? Why do you want that? And it might be ridiculous, right? Like, somebody might sit there and say, well, I'm egregiously overweight and I want to get in shape. I'm like, cool, why? And it seems obvious, right?
Yeah.
But it's not.
Yeah.
Because if their answer is, well, I'm tired of being fat because I want other people to find me attractive, I'm like, that's the wrong answer. Even doing something great, like getting yourself in physical shape, like just as an example, right? For the wrong reasons yields the wrong results.
Yeah. Yo.
right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you can behave. It's such a counterintuitive thing, and yet so many people go through life doing things that they think are good and are good on the surface, but the underlying cause is incredible. Have you ever read the book Start With Why by Simon Sinek?
No.
So it's great. It's great if you guys haven't seen Mr. Sinek's work. I'm a huge fan. Highly recommend checking him out. But he writes this book called Start With Why. And he wrote it predominantly for business and everything like that, but it's quintessential for anything that you're doing, because unless you know why you want what you want and you need what you need, or you're desiring what you desire, it'll always be misconstrued in your brain. And most people have no idea why the fuck they want what they want. And oftentimes, it's based on something that doesn't matter. It typically comes from getting a parent or a family member's approval, or maybe a political or a religious, so all the point, it's an external thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually start from them truly, and then they wonder why you see people that sometimes achieve some level of success and then they're miserable. Is this my reward?
I got hungry. Do you like feta?
Are there people that don't like feta?
I love that you said that.
And if there are people, do you ever really want to be associated with that?
Well, I feel sad for them. We're missing out.
So good.
I just want to take a moment to thank my sponsors. I don't know who they are yet, but anyone who has good feta.
Hopefully somebody that makes feta and wine. Yeah.
Yeah, send them my way.
So what's really interesting is kind of, cheers. Cheesers. See what we did there?
Yo.
Wow. It's amazing. Cheers.
You're so fun.
So we actually talked about it. I lived in Greece for a little while. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Dave literally looks like a Cretan man in the best way possible, by the way.
She gets these lines. I don't know where she gets these lines, but whoever is giving them to her just needs to just keep it coming.
I love kritika. Kritika is like my all-time favorite dance. Malavisiotikon and Kaniotiko are my absolute favorite dances.
You know what the funniest thing is?
What?
When you speak Greek
Yeah.
with a New York accent.
Really?
It's so great.
No way. Do I? Oh wow. You have nice hair, by the way.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, when you turn to the side, I like that. Kind of like a John Stamos hair look. That's a compliment. That's a compliment.
Who is this woman's writers?
I'm just saying.
It's amazing.
I'm just
It's
saying.
amazing. But so what you're saying?
You can't come in here looking like that. I just can't do my podcast. And he's got dimples. It's gonna be a problem.
Yeah.
Anyway, I have 2 guests after this. Okay, so in Crete, you go to Crete and every man, they have the mustaki, they got the salt and pepper hair, and then they're probably gonna break out dancing, and they're probably gonna have a little capello, like a captain's hat,
I have no
capitano.
idea what you just said, but to say it again.
And you are you embody them so much. I feel like you lived there. You just became one of them.
I did. I just absorbed it like a
Compliment, big compliment. I love the Cretans.
Yeah, it's great.
But you know what? You know what's really interesting? I was literally just talking about the food, though, right?
Yeah.
So I lived in Crete for about 15 months. I was stationed there for the military before I went to SEAL selection.
Did you have olive oil?
I did.
Thank you to my olive oil sponsors.
Do we know who that is?
Not yet, but one day.
Mediterranean food, olive oil, vinegar, and wine. This woman, she's gonna love it. She's perfect.
Keep talking. Go ahead.
So
I feed you so good.
So she now she has the best lines ever, and she's feeding us.
I'm telling you.
If no one hears from me for 3 days, please send a search and rescue party, because I think she's got me locked in a closet somewhere.
Let me talk for a second. So guys, remember, the way to a man's heart is to make him a big juicy meal.
That's 100% true.
I like to make my man happy, I like to cook for him.
So, it's interesting. So I was stationed in Crete in between SEAL selections. I actually failed out the first time from buds.
Oh, no.
And for good reason. For good reasons. Thank you. And went out to the military. So the way I worked in the Navy, when I failed out of SEAL selection, I had to go back and go do a different job. So I was trained as an operational specialist, and I was retrained as a master at arms. And then I went over to Greece, and I lived in Suda Bay for about 15 months. And then I went back to SEAL selection, and thankfully I graduated the second time. However, for my mother's 65th, so I haven't been to Crete since 2002.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, it was a long time. It was a hot minute. Yeah.
Okay.
Longer than probably a lot of you guys actually have been alive, right? So,
time.
yeah. So for my mother's 65th birthday, we went back, and I took her to Crete, and we went to Prague, and all this other stories. And one of the main things that we couldn't get over was how much better the food was, especially in Crete. Than even, because we also stayed in like Athens. And in Athens, I mean, the food was still much better than like in the United States.
Oh my God.
But it still had a little bit of that major city refinement, you know. It's like Crete, they didn't even fucking care. Like you just show up at 11 o'clock in the morning and they bring you out, you know, grilled octopus and Mediterranean dishes. And what don't you notice? Everybody's healthy. People are healthy. They're out there walking around despite smoking, you know, ass tons of cigarettes. But it's like, it's insane.
I know. I'm telling you, you can eat all summer. You can even eat like ice cream. The ice cream there is so good.
Oh yeah.
And you never gain any weight.
No, because it's actually made with like unprocessed, clean. It's all homemade. You know, we literally had a cat in the hotel who made his own olive oil, and the hotel would sell it for him. He would bottle and bring it in. Legit,
Okay.
Athena. That's a hip term. You don't know a cat? a cool dude. All right, a cool dude. So we had this cool dude, also known AKA a cool cat, who he made his own olive oil and he would sell it at the hotel, right? Some of the best fucking olive oil I've ever had in my life because it comes from trees off of his own farm and just brings it out there. It's amazing. It's absolutely insane. It's one of those things where I tell people, you know, one of the biggest things whenever I come in and I do like mentorship or I get brought in to talk with maybe high schools or something like that, and people ask, they're like, hey, what do you think one of the biggest secrets is to life and to becoming the most well-developed human that you can? And I tell them, travel. But don't just travel on vacation. Live. Go somewhere. Live. Study. Yeah. Don't just be a fucking tourist. No. Go and try to assimilate with the people, and you're going to find out a lot of things that you took for granted that you just assumed were correct or this. You're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
What? Why is this like this? Why do we do it like this? It's so much. All of a sudden, it just shakes your whole world because kind of like what we were talking about earlier, psychologically. When people are born into situations, even if it's not a negative situation, they're born into, just as an example, they're just born into the United States, right?
Yeah.
So there's anything wrong with that, but it's not the only way to be.
Exactly.
And so many times people take their experiences as the only experience, and they don't recognize that there's so much to be learned that could ultimately help them and better them by taking in other people's experiences all over the place. What do you say?
Oh, absolutely. And that brings me to the next point, which is we were talking about the McDonald's effect. And I really want to know about the McDonald's effect. And you have like a little demonstration that you wanted to show. Not that it's little, it could be big, you know. I just want to know what this demonstration is and how we can do it.
I actually can't remember what the demonstration was.
Okay, so then we can do it's time for our solve it or spill it round.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so let's see here. Oh, this is good. Okay. So solve using positive exponents. Now you can either choose to solve it on your own, or you can choose to use a lifeline, and you only have one lifeline. It's to request the professor. Would you like to request the professor to teach you?
I feel like this is a very loaded question. And the answer is yes.
Okay, professor on its way. Excuse me.
Oh, hello, Professor. Are you here today?
I'm about to get educated.
Okay. All right.
It's amazing.
Perf-
You're like Clark Kent and Superman. You just like come in here with your sunglasses. I can't even tell. Who are you?
Professor Athena
Wow.
at your service to
Wow.
teach you negative 6xy to the negative fourth.
Teach me, Professor.
Okay, express in positive exponents. Okay, so Here we have a -6 xy to the -4th. How many different people do you see? Because I see one whole blotch, but if you organize it into people, how many people are here?
You say 4.
Well, let's see. You have a -6, you have an x, and you have a y to the -4th because they're attached,
Okay.
right? So there's 1, 2, 3 different people,
Okay.
right? Actually, I didn't mean to write that -6. Let's keep it at xy to the -4th. So there's 2 people here,
Okay.
right? Now I'm going to tell you a little story.
Let this be the lesson to you. Whenever she senses that I'm still not getting it, she just dumbs it down.
No.
She, like the generous woman that she is, tries to make her guests feel good and not the complete morons.
No,
that
you're
we
not.
actually are.
No. It was because that was the question after you've gotten the other one right, and I didn't choose that card. So this was like the 3rd one.
Oh,
So I'm giving you the first one. The first one didn't have a leading coefficient.
perfect.
Okay, so xy to the -4th. Now I'm going to tell you a little story.
Mm-hmm.
When someone goes shopping and they shoplift, they're a bad person, right? And where do they go? Where do bad people go?
Probably to your house.
So
to jail or something like that?
yeah,
Is
they
that
go
what-
in jail. So I say, put the bad people down in the dungeon as my prisoners.
Perfect.
Okay? So they're going to go down in the dungeon in hopes that they're going to be a positive person. Because when you're released from the dungeon or when you're released from prison, it's in hopes that you're about to come out a positive person.
You're reformed.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So when we're putting him down here, he's in the dungeon, we're hoping he's going to be positive. So we're changing his exponent to positive.
Should we call them the Gimp?
Mo with the gimpy leg.
Perfect.
And now, the leftovers, who are not negative and they're good people, they all go on top.
Mm-hmm.
So who are we going to put on top?
Or me, because they're going to come to my house. I'm going to put the X up there.
Yes. And voila, we just solved the problem.
Wow.
We simplified using positive exponents.
Simplify with positivity.
Right? You see, and people think math is hard. All you have to do is just say a story, and it's easy.
See?
Right?
See, if I had had you
Yeah.
as my math teacher, like the whole time, either I would have gotten nothing done, either less done, or I'd be a mathematician right now.
Well, here's the thing. If I teach math, I wear a suit, a 3-piece suit, 3 times bigger than my body size, or 2 times bigger, so you don't see that I have a figure. And I put my hair back, and I don't wear makeup, so I can disguise myself as just very simple and out of respect. So let's see how good you remember this, okay?
Uh-oh, okay.
You had to take a spill card because you needed the professor's help. We'll do that in a second.
Okay.
Let's see, or maybe you can redeem yourself. I'm gonna make it harder.
Yep.
Write in positive exponents.
Right in the positive exponents? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I mean,
Or
so,
express in positive
so we
exponents.
have 2 people,
Good.
right? So
Good.
it should be. Wow.
Good. Oh my God!
Is that correct?
He got it
Professor?
right! He got it right! I'm so proud of you! Oh my God!
So for those of you guys who don't know, did you know that Professor Athena here, actually scary, terrifying thought, actually dements the minds of young children with mathematics?
Yeah?
You guys know that? It's ridiculous.
But I disguise myself as a normal person wearing like the most like simple Frumpty Dumpty Humpty Dumpty clothes.
Perfect.
Yeah, so that like no one, you know, out of
Your
respect.
thrift stop specials?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I wanted to prove a point that anyone can learn math. Anyone can do anything if you just listen.
So,
That's it.
you know what? Can we talk about that for a second?
Let's talk about it.
So, one of the questions that you were asking me earlier, just in that whole thing, there's an incredible book. So
Tell me.
from a neuroscience perspective, right?
Okay.
This is one of the things that I think that, besides for living for other people,
Okay.
Besides for living for other people, right? Like we were talking about the validation or the beliefs of like other people when people don't look internally, right? Everything that we were just talking about. One of the other things that keeps people where they are, and with a lot of my coaching clients that come over, because I have a little bit of a unique background, right? Like I was a SEAL, but then when I got out of there, I then started acting. But I knew that as soon as I became an actor, I wanted to be the best possible actor that I could possibly be.
Beautiful.
And I wanted to undertake it with all the reckless abandon that I had done with the SEALs. When I went out for the SEAL teams, and I'm from an incredibly small town in West Virginia, not a place, right? No, not a place that anybody becomes SEALs out of, right? Like, most people's loftiest ambitions is become like the manager of the gas station or something like that. And I was like, fuck that. Not for Dave,
you.
right? Not for
Not
Dave,
you.
right?
Yeah.
And I knew that I wanted to live a life. I believe that the most sacred tasking that we have as human beings is to be the fullest amount of human being that we can possibly be. And that's an individualistic effort, right?
Yeah.
What Athena's fullest, most authentic, powerful version of you is different than Dave's, and that's fine. It's different from any viewer out here. And it's not the matter of copying somebody else. It's in copying the idea of the path so that you can pursue a path that leads you to that benefit as well, right? So I knew very early on, I was like, I want to pursue a path that's in support of that for Dave, right? Everybody, almost everybody told me, give it the fuck up. Like,
Really?
no one's going to make it in that program. No one makes it in the Navy SEALs.
They told you that?
Oh yeah, everybody, to my face.
You?
Right? Because I was this little goth kid, and I was like the ostracized.
You were goth?
I'm super.
You were
Still
little?
am. I still am.
You were little?
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
way.
I was a little social
You're
outcast.
so tall and big.
Well, thank you. See, again, there she goes. She's got these writers. Like, I swear, they're literally right off camera, right there. They're just feeding her lines.
No, they're really not. He really is tall and big. Watch him on TV. He's coming out with a movie next week. You guys gotta watch it.
Yeah, it's cool. It's
And
great.
he's a really fantastic actor too.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
But everybody told me no, right? And they told everybody no. Did you ever see? Here's another interesting thing. I apologize getting on this segue, but
No, it's okay.
you guys may find this interesting. Look it up. Did you ever see? We were talking about before, the crabs in the pot
Yeah.
experiment. We were talking about it.
Tell us.
So for anyone who does it, it's so sometimes crustaceans actually get studied for their nervous system because they've actually been relatively unmodified, if you will, for millions of years, and that's because nature, biology has already things evolve in nature because it needs to evolve to survive and be more effective in its environment, right? Well, many of the crustaceans that we currently have, they're already perfect for what they are, right? So they have no need to evolve or anything like that, which actually makes them ideal candidates when people want to go in there and study their biology or study their nervous system or whatever, because it's been in place for a very long period of time, right? So it's a great case study. So they would study these little fuckers, and what they did was they put people, or excuse me, not people, the crabs, and they put them in a large pot with water, and they started to boil them to death, very slowly. And they were watching the behavior of the crabs. And obviously, these were live crabs at the time. What they found was the vast majority of the crabs would stay there and die. And but a very few proportion of the crabs would be like, fuck this sucks, I'm outie.
Wow.
Now, note, they're not doing it at the cost of the other crabs that are staying there. Those crabs aren't like, yeah, those crabs are like, they're like, hey, you can hang, you can leave, like whatever, but I'm out.
Yeah.
What do you think they found? The crabs on the bottom pulled the crabs down that were trying to escape. Not to get out themselves, but to assure that they did not escape. Misery loves company. There's the reason that is negativity, fear, scarcity, all those things that we were just talking about that keeps people living a life that ultimately they don't want. Some people, right? A lot of people. Keeps people from pursuing with reckless abandon. It's infectious. And they don't fucking like when other people go against that.
It's so true.
It really is. Even if it's not at their cost. Even if Athena's sitting here saying, hey, you know what, you guys, you do you. I'm going to go do me. What are you going to get? You're going to get a bunch of people who aren't doing shit.
Oh, it's so true.
Yeah. It's...
So, a lot of people also, just to tie this up, man, so in the book that I wrote, F It, When You Want a Better Life But Don't Know Where to Start here. There's the 7 commandments on how to find yourself and stop caring what other people think. And
What are
just
the commandments?
There's just too many to list. Buy the book.
7.
I know, but we don't have time for all this. But like one of them is know your why, because if you don't know your why, you don't know what you're reaching for, right? And another chapter I give you, because I have a teacher background, I did exercises in this book. What I really didn't like about all self-help books is that they're all clones of every other self-help book. It's like, all right, I'm motivated enough. What do I do now? Like, okay, you gave me motivation. Tell me the how. Like, the books don't really say how. So I gave exercises because people know that they're stuck. They know that they're hit a brick wall. They don't know how to get out. They don't know what their passion is. They don't know how to find themselves. So I gave some exercises, and one exercise is something that I developed while I was on The Bachelor. It's not allowed to have a pen and paper, but I found some. I actually used toilet paper to do this, and I found a pen, and I shoved it into the couch, and I just saved it for later. The amount of stuff that I did, I can't even say on camera. It was like a war zone over there. 25 Greek girls fighting for one man. It was crazy.
Bunch of malakas.
Yeah, literally, yeah, all screaming at me all day.
Yeah.
But I drew. So this is something that you guys can all do to find yourself. Draw your life now in one photo.
Yes.
In one photo, draw your life. And what I drew was a figure of me climbing a ladder, and I had two people. I had a ball and chain on my left leg, and then I had people hanging on my limbs. And every time I tried to get up, I'd fall. So then that's when I realized what I want in my life. I need to remove the negativity. I need to remove the people who are holding me down like a weight. And from the time that I did that, I completely skyrocketed so quickly. And it's the people who you surround yourself with that really, they either can bring you up or bring you down. And even if you don't talk to them, they're still circulating in the back of your subconscious mind, and you need to completely remove them and don't ever have contact. Like, for me, I completely block. I don't even, I have to know that I'm done. Because if I'm not done, they will live in my subconscious mind rent-free forever and not allow me to thrive. As crazy as it sounds, that's why I'm so happy right now, because I removed all of that bad energy.
Yeah.
Did you want to say something about that?
I think that is absolutely brilliant writing that. There's these incredible things that we study in neuroscience and everything about what you just talked about, where sometimes the brain is just so confused with the amount of clutter, the amount of this, the amount of that, all these other sorts of things, that it really takes a simplification. Your life is like something that sounds stupid.
Yeah, I know.
But it focuses the brain, and all of a sudden that's why journaling is so important. And I try to tell people all the time where they're like, I don't know what to write about. I'm like, just write. Just write. Just literally start writing before you even know what you're, like, that's the best time to write. Mm-hmm. Just let your hands start going, and you have no idea, and you will be floored with what comes out.
So fucking true.
It's the same thing with meditation. It's the same with all of that sort of stuff. But, did you ever hear there was a great suggestion that was given one time. It's like, if you want to guide your life, a psychologist that I read one time, and I apologize, this is not my idea. I reluctantly just don't have the credit to give credit where it is due, but it is not my idea, so I apologize. For whatever doctor actually came up with this, credit is yours. But they talk about one of the most powerful things: write your eulogy. Imagine your life is over, and what is your best friend saying? And don't just think about it. Fucking write it. And constantly revamp it. Like, I have mine upstairs, and I have my life mission, my vision of myself. Who is Dave Meadows, right? It's only for me. I'm the only one that's ever going to read it. It's just for me. It's a constant work, right? And then I have my eulogy. And the eulogy, I think, is really important, because if you sit there and imagine, if your life is over, how would you want to be remembered? Yeah. Really, truly. Yeah. And then go fucking do that. Write it down. Yeah, it's that simple. It's that simple. And when I have never suggested that to a client, and they've done it and not come back and be like, dude, that changed my life. Wow. Like, I had no idea how simple what I really wanted was, but my brain was so cluttered with a bunch of bullshit that until I sat down, I said, I'm dead. Wow. What the fuck does any of this shit matter? And I was like, no, I realized that if people were talking about me and my closest and nearest and dearest, I would want them to say these things about me. I'm like, good. So go do that. Yeah. Period.
On that note, I want you to, for the rapid fire inspo, what is your favorite quote to live by? Just one, if you had to pick one, because I know you have a lot. We spoke about it.
I do. I'm a quote whore. I just got like this bottomless pit in my brain. It's really, I have actually said anything unique to myself, and I'm a complete moron. But I read a lot of stuff from a lot of very smart people, and somehow it just sticks. Carl Jung, until you make the subconscious conscious, it will rule your life, and you will call it fate. Until you make the subconscious conscious, it will rule your life, and you will call it fate. And I think that that is one of the most profound and useful quotes that anybody can unpack when they sit there and go, holy shit, because most all of our life, we have created for ourselves. And we do it for subconscious reasons that we're never consciously aware of. And until you break that barrier and start realizing what's really going on below, you're always just going to be at the whims of it.
Yeah.
Like riding on a storm that you can't see.
Yeah.
You know?
I love that quote. First of all, when you first told me about that, I was like, we have to talk about this on the podcast. But I want to ask you to recap anything that you're working on, where people can find you, and how we can support your work.
Yeah, thank you so much, Athena. So I've got a movie coming out next week that you saw last night called Fog of War with John Cusack, Mr. Jake Abel, Brianna Hildebrand, Paul Logan, and myself. That'll be out there. It'll be coming out on streaming. You can also just check out my acting website on IMdB, David B. Meadows, or you can just go on my personal website, davidbmeadows.com, or my Instagram at officialdavidbmeadows.com. And on there, it has all of my different psychology, my coaching, any of that other sort of stuff that's going on there, acting work, and stuff like that. And besides for that, we have Fog of War that's coming out. Then I have another great movie that I was very lucky to be a part of called Osiris that'll be coming out here. Linda Hamilton, Sarah Connor, like my boyhood crush, was in the movie as one of the leading ladies. Max Martini, LaMonica Garrett, Michael Irby, Brianna Hildebrand is all in that one too. She just like follows me around all the time. It's kind of awkward. No, she's amazing. So we've got that one going out, and then we've got another incredible movie called Hollywood Grit, which I was actually a co-producer on. So my good friend Scott Adler was the main producer, that Scott. Ryan Curtis was the director on that, Military Cat as well. Cat, cool dude.
Yes.
And Max Martini was the lead of that. Tyrese Gibson, a bunch of other people right in there. And a fourth one called The Legend of Van Dorn, which is actually a Civil War period piece. Oh, wow. That's going on right there that we filmed down out of Nashville. That'll be coming out a little bit later on this year. And besides for that, there's also a TV show called Repo that I was also a co-producer on. It's myself. Ryan directed that as well. My real good buddy Link Hands and tight friends Nikki Howard, and Kenzie Har, all leading that cast up. So it's an action comedy trope, kind of like take the A-Team meets The Office. So we break the fourth wall, do all the stupid shit and everything like that while still having an action comedy kind of a stint. So it's an action comedy trope that makes fun of action comedies while being an action comedy. So be watching for that too.
I'm so proud to be your friend. Like, the amount of achievements that you've done is just unreal. And I'm so proud of you and all your hard work, because I know how much it took to get here. People just see someone that's accomplished and they assume 100 different things when it took all sacrifice, hard work. You're a trained actor. You didn't just know people and they threw you in shit. Like, you worked so hard to get to this level of success in this industry, and I couldn't applaud you more for that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So I wanted to say, to close this this fun segment, Yamas to breaking stereotypes. And where's our Johnny? Where's our Johnny? All right, so grab a plate. Grab a plate.
All right.
Here you go. We're going to smash it over here. Now remember, you weren't made to fit into the box. You were made to smash it. Oh, I guess you got to use your fist. Oppa! Oh, damn, that was a big fist.
There we go.
So strong.